love to put up with you.
So welcome back to Kids in the Kitchen. Before the break, we were finishing up making a red velvet cake, and as you can see, our red velvet cake is done. Now what we did was we made two cakes. Last night we made this cake and we put it in the refrigerator. That helps you when you're icing your cake. You want to give your cake a chance to rest. So this way we're going to have the perfect icing experience. Maika and Amani are going to make our cream cheese frosting. We've got cream cheese and a stick of butter, 8 ounces of cream cheese. So why don't you guys get started?
Now you just laid a lot of expectation when you said perfect.
We're going to have the perfect icing experience. Absolutely.
Oh, down. The blades are down. Okay, hold on a second. Make sure the blades are in tight when you're blending your butter and cheese. There we go. Now the butter and cream cheese is at room temperature, so you can see how easy it's blending. You want to take it over? Okay, there you go. Right hand, left hand. So, you switch places very nicely. Pass off a little bit of sugar. This is confectionery sugar. I'm going to take it to the side. Then we're going to add all this in there. It's about a pound.
Pound. Which is also 2 cups if you wanted to know conversion.
Okay, so you can see this is blending really nice. It's starting to get creamy. While you're doing the creaming process, you should also add, if you have any flavoring, we're using vanilla. And you can see the consistency is starting to get nice, soft, very smooth. Monty's doing a great job of mixing this. And I think it's time for the handoff to Sheila, who's going to help Monty ice the cakes while I bring out some of the stuff that he's working with.
Okay, so turn off the mixer. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Monty. So now what we do, again, and Mike, you can take this with you to the sink if you don't mind. Thank you, man. Okay, so we're going to have the perfect icing experience today. So, Amani, when you're doing, we're going to do a 2-layer cake, right? So the first thing you want to do is do your middle, okay? So spread that around. Just make a circular motion. You want to be gentle when you're icing the cake because the goal is to try to not pull up too much of the top, you know, the actual body of the cake. And it's difficult. That's why, again, we said we put ours in the refrigerator just to try to have a better icing experience. Amani's doing a good job. So you want to spread it out. Good job. Make it a smooth, flat layer. Now the great thing about this icing is the cream cheese flavoring, which is so nice. It's a very distinctive type of icing. You'll see it on carrot cakes, you see it on red velvet cakes. You could also do a traditional buttercream icing if you wanted to. Amani, excellent. Okay, let me take it over for 1 second.
Now one of the things you can also do is do a very thin layer of icing to kind of seal it off. Any crumbs that come up, you can still have those crumbs there, but then do another slightly thicker layer that you will not see those crumbs.
So since this is our middle layer anyway, we're pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and put our cake on top. Now this is the tricky part. We're going to try delicately pick up our cake. Again, it helps that we've had this in the refrigerator overnight. We're going to press it down just a little bit and we're going to ice the top. Now, one of the things you want to make sure you do with your cakes when you're icing it is just put a little bit on the top to get you started and then go to the sides, because the thing that you don't want to do is run out of icing. But the great thing about, again, this recipe is it's made of simple ingredients: butter, cream cheese, confectioner's sugar. So if you do run out, then you just make a little bit more. So Amani, when you do the cake, what I want you to do is work on the sides. Okay, and while Monty works on the sides, Micah, why don't you tell us a little bit about your confectionery loveliness over there?
Okay, so Sheila knows I like to decorate the table a little bit, definitely during the holidays. And I also like the idea of baking something as a gift. So your family, your children, or the adults in your household can always make something and give it out of love. And so what I'm suggesting this year is maybe you make bark for people. It's a very simple recipe. As you saw, we made it in about 4 or 5 minutes. It looks a little fancy, almost as if you bought it in a nice store, and we put it in a vase. It's in a vase. tied a little bow around it, made it nice and presentable, so you have, you know, one gift that you eat and one that can be used throughout the year.
That's the kind of gift I like, you know, something I can eat.
Sheila and I have one-track minds sometimes.
Well, as you can see also, too, as Amani continues to ice around the sides of the cake, and she's doing an excellent job. And as I was sharing with her, your main goal of icing at first is to cover the cake with icing. Then your second goal is to clean it up and make it look beautiful. We always recommend, if you can, to have a pause time between when you ice the cake and when you eat the cake. That gives the icing a chance to settle and kind of cement. You don't want to, you know, cakes take time. You can't whip up a cake and eat it in an hour. You got to let it rest. You got to make your icing, let your icing rest, and then eat it. So as you see here, our sweet potato pie is finished. We've made some little bit of samples for each one of us to try. You can see how the consistency of the pie changed from kind of more of a loose texture to a firm texture. We baked it at 375 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes. Okay. Are we going to dig into something?
We're going to dig into something. Now, Amani's doing a great job. On this show, we really put Amani to the test in terms of her cooking skills because she does cook at home, but she really is not making desserts at home. So this was her first time really doing any baking. And to start right off making a cake, making a pie, icing a cake, that's a lot to ask somebody to do. And she's done a great job. I'm going to give you a hand clap.
Thank you, Mommy.
So I think that you should do the honors and be the first person to take this taste of sweet potato pie. And since Sheila is busy doing what she's doing, icing, I will be the second person because, you know, I'm like that.
I just like to share with everybody too, just in closing with our red velvet cake. You can you can garnish it all types of ways. You can put pecans around the side. You can put a mint leaf to give that red and green contrast. You can even just, you know, do anything that you like, really, just to bring it up. But, you know, we have a wonderful package of desserts. How's the pie?
The pie is great. It tastes really good.
And our cake looks wonderful.
I have to have another piece of the pie. We want to thank you again for joining us for another episode of Kids in the Kitchen. I want to thank Amani for joining us today.
Thank you.
We hope you have a wonderful, safe holiday. And please check us out again sometime and take a look at our website, kidskitchentv.net. How's it taste?
I like it. Wonderful. Your cake looks wonderful, Amani. You did an excellent job.
Cake does good. I want to taste the ice.
Oh, yeah. Spoons of ice.
So we bought spoons because Sheila and I are sweet girls. We like to taste the cookie batter and the icing and stuff as we're making cakes. I like that.
You like it? Thank you.
It works.
Can we taste some of the bars? Oh, that looks so pretty. I mean,
I have a piece over here.
it looks so pretty. I don't want to break up someone's gift, but okay, let's take a piece of mine. I'll give you the big piece. Crunchy.
Yes, it is. It doesn't have to be. It just depends upon how much of the candy you put in it.
I like it. It's minty chocolate. This is my favorite show. Sweet, 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 sweet. Of course. I think holiday dinners deserve great holiday desserts.
And that's why the next show will be making